Okay, good Erev Shabbos to everybody. Today's daf is Samech Ches, and we are holding at the Gemara on Samech Zayin Amid Beis. Samech Zayin Amid Beis. So just to go through back. Let's go through the Mishnah quickly again. Says the Mishnah. Okay, that you just brought. You just brought the carbon the way it's supposed to be. Now, what about Mishakara v'Omer? Yoitzu moitzi shuk Yerushalayim sheyamoli kemach kali. They found everything, all business ready to go. In other words, the people had taken the chadash, they had processed it, and they were ready to sell it. And even though, despite the fact that at the time it was usher, and they went ahead and they processed everything. And as soon as the oil was bought, business was open, right? However, that was Shlei Baratz and Chachamim. The Chachamim were not happy with that because the Chachamim were worried if you're going to start handling with Issa, with Chodesh, you may come to eat it before the Omer. You may come to eat it before the Omer. And therefore, they were not happy with them. Divrei Reb Meir, these are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Beratzon Chachamim Hayoisen. No, he disagrees. He said they were good with it. In other words, like Rabbi Yehuda, you're not worried about eating. Like Reb Meir, you're worried about eating. And like Rabbi Yehuda, you're not worried about eating. Okay. In Yani Diyayma, for like Gazer Rabbi Yehuda is not Geyser that maybe you'll come to eat till Ma'asil Lemechel Minei. I'll ask you a steer from Bir Chametz. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Boitkin or Abbaasa. When he lechatchila, you should check when the eve of the 14th. Uba Arbaasa Shachris. If you fail to go ahead and be Boitik Chametz the night before, you do it in the morning. Ubishas Habir, and up to the time of removal. But after that, you can't. Rashi, guys. Ubishas Habir, Bishah Shesh, in the sixth hour of the day. Avamikan ve'elech, after 6 hours, lo yivdoik, don't check anymore. Afil lo yibodek bizmana, even if you didn't check at all. Because Rinon, because for Geyser, the reason why you don't check afterwards is because you may come to eat it, right? B'Pesach. If you didn't go ahead, if you didn't go ahead and be boidik in the 6th hour or b'shas sabir, you can be boidik after it. So machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim regarding what? Regarding can you check during the moed for chametz? Rabbi Yehuda says you can't. What is Rabbi Yehuda worried about, fellas? L'chayri, he's worried about you may come to eat it. L'chayri is worried you may come to eat it. That's why you can't check during the moed. So on the one hand, he's saying by chadash you're not worried, yet by chametz you are worried, right? So the Gemara wants to know what's the difference between the two. So says the Gemara, back in the Gemara, Amar Rabba, says Rabba, or Amar Rava, according to Gersim Psachim, Shiny Chadash, Mitoich Shaloi Hitar Deloi, Ela Al Yidei Kituf. The only way to go ahead and process it is through Kituf. Rashi says Kituf is you'd have to go ahead and pull the grain out with your hands. You'd have to pull the plant out with your hands and not a sickle. Usually use a sickle to go ahead. But they asked it. They asked that only one who can use the sickle is the one who cuts the omer itself. But if anyone who did it beforehand would have to do all the kituf. Memela, since you have the shinui of kituf, zachahu, he'll remember and not eat it. So that's the difference between chamitzvat and chadash. By chadash, there's a hecker. There's something to make it recognizable that you won't come to eat it. The fact that you have to go ahead and pull it out with your hand. By chametz, you're worried. Okay, that's the way That's the way. Rava would answer the stira in Rav Yehuda. Amalei Abaya, Tenech Tzira. You've explained a hecker by regarding cutting it. Tchina v'hakoda ma'yekol meima. Once you cut it and you're going to begin to process it by grinding it and sifting it, where is your hecker over there to remind you not to eat it? Again, if you're telling me the reason why you're not concerned is that it's a hecker, the hecker is only by ktsira, with your hand. Mashenkin, after the ktsira, and you have to process it further by grinding and by sifting, where's the hecker over there that you won't come to eat it? On that, the Gemara answers, Hale kasha, tchina berechai dida, you're going to be diyada, you're going to use a hand grinder. They usually use the mill. They use the mill, a water mill, to grind. Here they're going to use a hand mill, which is a shinoi. And harkada, they sifted al gabe napa on the. They didn't use the like a napa, guys. Consider it like you have an area that is, you put it in there. If you invert it, right? So you use the inverted side. If you use the inverted side, that's not the normal way. It's enough of a shinoi. So you have a shinoi in the katsiro b'kito. If you have a shinoi in in the in the in the in the in the grinding, you're using a hand grinder, and in the sifting, you're using the back of the colander. So in Melo, you have enough Vishinoi to explain why Rabbi Yehuda was not concerned about eating it. Mashenka by chametz, you don't have that hecker, and therefore you'll come to go ahead and eat it. Therefore, he doesn't permit you to go ahead and check during the moed. Fred Gemara Kasha, Beis Hashlachin. Beis Hashlachin is a field that needs irrigation. At the beginning of moed cotton, right? There's a field that needs irrigation. The Sharia Ketzira, where you are permitted to go ahead and cut even before the Omer, did nan. Kaitzin Beis Hashlachin Sheba Amakim. You can go ahead and cut using a sickle even before the Ketzira Omer in the Beis Hashlachim of the valleys. Avaloy Goitchim, but you can't go ahead and heap it up. It seems to be that's an inferior quality, Rashi says. The Beis Hashlachin is an inferior quality, and therefore you won't come to use it as the Omer. Since you won't come to use it as the Omer, there's no problem of Ketzira. Fred the Gemara, if you're telling me the reason you can go ahead and process, you're not worried about eating beforehand because you have the shinoi of what? Of using your hand. In the Beis Hashlachim, you don't have the shinoi of using your hands. In the Beis Hashlachim, you can use the sickle as every other place. And therefore, the chodosh in the Beis Hashlachim using the sickle is also to eat, but you may come to eat it. You don't have a shinoi. As I fragged on Rabbi's teretz. That's the kasha that Abaye asks on Rabbi's teretz. Ella, you're right. Ella, let's go ahead in the new teretz again. What's the kasha? Why by chodosh is Rabbi Yehuda not worried about coming to eat, and why by chometz is he worried? And you can't tell me it's a shinoi. Ella Amar Abaye chodesh badal minei, chometz le badal minei. Guys, chodosh never had a time it's muta. Chodesh never had a time it's muta. It's usher. In other words, when it comes to the season of the new grain, you can't eat it. It's no different than any davar usher. You're not worried about eating chaza. You're not worried about eating basa b'cholav. After all, they're usher. You can't eat it. You can't eat chaylev. Chodesh is no different. It's usher. But chametz is muta. So by Chadash, which is Asr all the time, until after Ketziras Omer, I'm not worried if they'll go ahead and being Oisik in it. And therefore you can have the streets, the Shukam of Yerushalayim bedecked with all the new treats that from Chadash. Because I'm not worried they're going to eat it, because it's not mutter until a certain Zman. Masha'enkin Chomich, which is mutter all the time, I may come to eat it. Again, it's only a little piece of, until you eat chametz in the morning of Tesvav, right? Of Yudalid, you're eating in the morning, and then a few hours later you're not. So, therefore, that's the teretz. Rabbi Yehuda is concerned about chametz since it's mutter the whole year, but he's not worried about chodesh, which is also the whole year. That's the teretz of Abaya. Amar Rava, the Rabbi Yehuda kasha, the Rabbanan loy kasha. So, in other words, you asked the kasha according to Rabbi Yehuda, what the Rabbanan? Okay, what did the Rabbanan say? In the Mishnah, they were not happy. Says Reb Meir, they were not happy with what? With them, meaning they were concerned you would eat chadash. Yet when it comes to beer chametz, they said, no problem. Go ahead, and during the moyed, you can go ahead and check, and you're not worried about eating. So it's the opposite of Yehuda, right? By chadash, the Chachamim were worried you're coming to eat, and therefore they were not happy that the streets of Yerushalayim had chadash. Mashenking, when it came to chametz, they weren't worried. So what's you answered the stira according to Rabbi Yehuda. What about the stira according to Chachamim? It says more like kasha. Ella amarava. Rabbi Yehuda like kasha kiddushinan. They gave a teretz. What was the teretz? That chodesh is aser and chametz is mutter. Therefore, I'm worried. The Rabbanan like kasha. Now it's interesting to know, guys. The Rabbanan is Reb Meir, right? It doesn't say in our Mishnah. It says Reb Meir. So it says it's mashma. It's that anytime there's about plukta, it says Chachamim, says the Ran and Nedarim, that what it is constantly, it is Rebbe Meya. So Chacham and Meya is synonymous. When you have a bar plukta with Rabbi Yehuda and it says Chacham, it means Rabbi Meya. Like Kasha, the Chachamim, who atzmai machzor love the sarfoi, mechel ochol minei. Okay, now, really, I am worried about eating. Therefore, by Chodosh, I'm not going to let you go ahead and go near it until after the Omer. I'm not going to let you go near it after the Omer. You can't, I'm not happy with that. What's the reason you're checking for chametz, guys? To get rid of it. Why would I worry about you eating it if you're checking to get rid of it? Makes a lot of sense. And therefore, so we have two terutzim, right? That's a stira. Rabbi Yehuda by Chodesh is not worried because it's us the whole year. By chametz, he's worried because it's mutter the whole year, and therefore he's worried you may come to eat it. The Chachams by Chodesh, they're worried. They say that what then you may come to eat it, and therefore stay away from it. Why aren't they worried about chametz? Because the whole purpose you're checking for chametz is to get rid of it. If I'm checking to get rid of it, I'm not going to come to eat it. Okay, that's the teretz of Abaya. Says the Gemara, and Rav is teretz on Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. Says the Gemara, Reb Ashi Amar, Rabbi Yehuda loy kasha. Not shver. Kemach koli tanan. If you look at the Mishnah, it says the streets of Yerushalayim, mole kemach koli, parched flour. Now it seems that toasted flour, fellas, parched flour, toasted flour is not, it's not something people eat. It's not something. Again, I don't know. So just the Gemara names on it, and we don't know the mitzias of it, right? So people don't eat it. So Rav Ashi, really, Rabbi Yehuda is usually worried about eating, and therefore by chametz he's worried. Masha'enkin by chodosh he's not worried because it's inedible. It's not something you eat. Like kasha kemach koli tanan. I v'hod Rav Ashi brusahi. Rav Ashi is a brusa. It's an outside. In other words, it's not a good teretz. It's an outside teretz, meaning I'm not going to accept it. Sometimes we say bidusahi. Teinach mekeli ve'elach. Good that from toasting it onwards it's inedible. But ad kali ma'yikol name. And what about until that point in time? Until that point in time it was edible. So the teretz is not a good teretz. If you'll say you have the shinoi. So in other words, before toasting you have the shinoi of using your hand. After kali, it's inedible. Then you still have the kasha beis hashlachin, the shari katsira beis hashlachin, where it's permitted to go ahead and cut with a sickle. Ma'ikol meimar elahod Rav Ashi berusahi. You have to include the Rav Ashi's teretz. What is the brusa? It's not acceptable. That's good. Nice gemara. Mishikara v'oimer huta chadash miyad. When the oimer was brought, the chadash was muta immediately. Right? In other words, it's mashma, when the oimer was brought, as soon as it's brought, it's muta. Harachoikim mutarim mechatzai sayoim. So the ones that were in Yerushalayim, they know exactly when the carbon was brought. What about the people who are away? At which point in time could there be soimich that the oimer was brought already? Mechatzai sayoim ve'elach. You have to say mechatzai sayoim. Now the oimer was brought after the musaf guys. The Grizz points out that it must be that they bought it right away because chatzos is like half the day. And the musaf was bought, so they must have bought immediately after the oimer, right away. Or else, how could they eat from chatzos? Because the oimer was bought after the musaf. So just logistically, it had to be right away. Right? Mechatzos hayoim ulahalon. Mishachar beis hamikdash. Now, once the beis hamikdash is destroyed, when's it mutter? His going to be a zakai sheyehei yoim hanof kulei asa. Now we're going to see that midoraisa, as soon if there's no Beis Hamikdash is not standing, Heir Mizrach with Netzachama of the 16th matters it. You don't have to wait till Gemara is going to say you have two ways of being matter it, either the day itself or the carbon. When you have the carbon, it's not the day. When you don't have the carbon, it is the day. So therefore, we ostensibly should be able to eat Chodash in the morning of the 16th. However, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made a takana. Yom Hanaf Kuli Asa. That Yom Hanaf is totally Asa. Rabbi Yehuda v'alei min ha'Torah. It's min ha'Torah. So in other words, mashma that according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, you should be permitted to eat the morning of the 16th and onward, and you're making takana. Says Rabbi Yehuda, the 16th when you don't bring the carbon oimer, the whole 16th day is Asa. It says Ad Yom Haviyachem, Ad Yom, and Rabbi Yehuda guys holds Ad Yom, Ad. Va'ad bichlal. He holds up until and including. So therefore, it's the Raisa. So he disagrees with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who's mashmitz only also the whole day the Rabbanon. Right? We'll see in the Gemara another way to view this. But again, he's mashmit awad. Clearly, that it is. It's also midaraisa shnemar ad etzem hayom hazeh ad etzem hayom hazeh mifnei ma. Okay, it says what the lashon of the pasuk is. V'lechem koli v'karmel lo yisochlu ad etzem hayom hazeh ad aviyachim es korban elokechem chukas olam dorosechem. So therefore, ad v'ad bechlal, and therefore he disagrees with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was his takana. Going back to why the Rechoikim were able to go ahead and eat. By the Bezdin of the Kahanim, they're not going to be misatzel, they're not going to be lackadaisical, and they're going to do it as soon as possible. Okay? So the first part of the Mishnah is that the Oimer, when the Beis HaMikdash was standing, the Oimer mated it, and when the Beis HaMikdash was not standing, it was the day that mated it. We have big machlekes. Rab u'Shmuel the Amrit Travayu. Rab and Shmuel are both of the opinion. Bisman shebeis hamikdash kayim, in the time when the Beis Hamikdash was around, oimer mater, the oimer mater. Bisman she'ein Beis Hamikdash kayim, heir misrach mater. Then it's what? It's the heir misrach that maters it. My timer. What's the reason? In other words, where do you get these two matirim from? Trei kroi ksivi, two psukim. Ksiv ad haviyachem, until you bring the oimer. It's mashma, you have to bring in the oimer. And Kosiv, and pasuk says also etzem hayom hazeh. In the same pasuk, it says that etzem hayom hazeh, right? And ad v'loyad, right? Ad etzem hayom hazeh, right? Up until v'loyad b'chal, right? Guys, ad etzem hayom hazeh, ad v'loyad b'chal. Of course, this is of the opinion that heir mizbach, that the netzacham matters. Again, I don't want you to get mixed up. Rabbi Yehuda says ad etzem hayom hazeh means the whole day. According to this opinion, ad etzem hayom hazeh means until the day itself, but not including the day, and therefore it's mutter in the morning right away. So that's the Rav and Shmuel. Bisman habayis b'yom haviyachem, ad haviyachem, and shaloi bisman habayis ad etzem hayom hazeh. Haketzad, kan bisman shebeis hamikdash kayim, kan bisman she'ein beis hamikdash kayim. Beis Hamikdash is around, you have the Oimer. Beis Hamikdash is not around, you have one. I find this fascinating. In other words, there had to be another matir. It built into the system. You see that you had to have. I know there's Bechira, and I know the Beis Hamikdash did not have to be destroyed, but you see that in the Torah they built in, because or else you won't be able to eat bread, guys. Think about it. Chodesh, the 5 Chodesh is by the 5 grains. And you need a heta for them, right? So obviously they had to become mutter. So you're going to tell me that if you didn't have to come in oimer, you couldn't eat? Of course not. So you see built in that what, according to Rabbi Shmuel, that built in the Torah was the contingency plan if and when the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, you'll have another way. It's an interesting way to think of looking at it, right? You just instead of just reading over it, right? You built into the system that what, or else what would you eat? It's not you eat or you don't eat. You have to. You have to. Okay,
it's clear the Torah didn't want us eating gluten-free, because that would have been another eitzah. The Torah did not want us eating gluten-free.
Rabbi, you're saying good. It's not good. But I don't know, when we were younger, how come no one was allergic to gluten? Or peanut butter?
Or peanuts.
Right, very, very interesting. I was thinking in Eretz Yisrael, you know what they do? They give the little kids bamba. They're all pounding bamba, at peanut butter bamba at an early age. I mean, it's a muktzamach masmias. My little grandson crawls over and gives me one. Slapped him in the face. Anyway, so Rabbi Shmuel 2 times. Rabbi Shmuel we have 2 times. Okay, Rabbi Yochanan v'Reish Lakish Tamid Shavayu afilu bizman shebeis hamikdash kayim heir misrach mater. You hear this? You don't really, midaraisa, you don't have to wait until you bring the oimer. The day itself matters. Ad etzem hayom hazeh takes precedent. And you don't have to bring, in other words, if you don't bring the oimer, it's still mutter. In other words, guys, According to Rabbi Shmuel, Hastus, if you didn't bring the Omer, you couldn't eat. According to Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, you could eat even if you don't bring the Omer. So, question: according to what does it mean? Ad havi achem. According to Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, what does ad havi achem mean? Vaksiv ad havi achem. Mashma, you have to bring the carbon Omer. The mitzvah. It's a mitzvah, but it's not. It's not ma'akiv. Okay, guys, you say this thing machlekes, guys. You say this thing machlekes. Loi Rabbi Shmuel bismana beis hamikdash. There's no way you're eating until you bring the Omer. Loi Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. No, the day itself matters it. It makes sense. The day itself matters it. It comes out geschmack, guys. According to the way I was masking before, that you see built into the system, like Rabbi Shmuel, is the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Like Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, not. All you needed was the day. All you needed was the day. So you bring the carbon, okay, good. And if you don't, also good. In other words, I think it's very nice. You understand? It's a nice way of looking at it from our perspective. The Rabbi Shmuel, the destruction was inevitable in a way because he had a contingency plan. Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, it's not true. As long as once you hit the 16th, Gavaldi, that's great. There's such a thing as the Omer, that's a mitzvah, but it's not ma'akiv you could eat. You hit, it's very nice. I like when I say something, I say it's very nice because I like it, Says the Gemara Vaita. So according to Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, the mitzvah. Now we're going to ask on them. Okay? Mishekorav ha'omer huta chadash miyad. Why did the Mishnah say when they brought the omer, then the chadash became muta? Mashma before then, it wasn't. They said the day itself. That's the mitzvah, and for the Gemara, the mitzvah. Another kasha, right? Ha'omer hoya mate b'medina. This is the next Mishnah, guys. The omer mate the chadash in the Medina, ushtei alechem b'migdash. So you see, the omer is the mater, not the day. Says the Gemara, the mitzvah. Amid beis. Mishachor beis hamigdash. Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sheyom hanaf kula yasa. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made the following takana that the 16th day, the whole day is asa. You can't eat chadash. My timer, what's he worried about? Meheri yibana Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash will be rebuilt. V'yomru, and they'll say, ishtakid, last year when there was no mikdash, miloya chalnu beher mizrach, did we not eat as soon as the 16th arrived? Hashtanami nechol. Now we should eat. V'loyade, and they won't know, the ishtakid loy havi oimer. Last year, the reason you ate it right away on the 16th because there was no oimer. And here mizrach mater. V'hashta de ika oimer mater. So in other words, this is what the Mishnah says. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was worried that that they're going to eat without the oimer. Now, 1 second. Leit Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, who cares? As long as you get to the 16th, you're good. But you see from Yochanan ben Zakkai's takana, obviously the 16th is not good. Because he was attacking that maybe next year, when the Beis Hamikdash be rebuilt, they'll eat before the oimer. Leit Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, who cares? Let them eat before the oimer. It's only a mitzvah ba'alma. The isal kedaitach the mitzvah, and if you're going to tell me that it's only a mitzvah to wait for the oimer, misham mitzvah leikim v'ligzar, would Rabbi Yochanan get up and make a gezerah just for what, a derabbanon? No, it's not derabbanon. I shouldn't derabbanon. On the mitzvah, the mitzvah ba'alma b'di'evet. Lechatchila, wait, b'di'evet. Guys, bishleim if it's asar, it makes sense. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would make a takana. But if you tell me it's not asar, it's only the mitzvah, why would you make a takana not to eat? When there's no Beis Hamikdash, atu, when there is a Beis Hamikdash, and then it's only a mitzvah ba'alma to wait for the oimer. So that's the kasha on Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Teretz, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai b'shitas Rabbi Yehuda Omra. Pirish, guys. Clearly, Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan are saying when the 16th day matters, they hold out etzem hayom hazeh means ad v'loy ad bechlal. When it says, fellas, ad etzem hayom hazeh, clearly means ad v'loy ad bechlal, correct? Or else had good. Rabbi Yochanan, he held like Rabbi Yehuda. What did Rabbi Yehuda say, guys? The whole day is asa, yeah? Rabbi Yehuda said the whole day is asa. Why is the whole day asa? Because ad, v'lo ad bechlal. So you can't ask on me, Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan from Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai, he held like Rabbi Yehuda. We don't agree with Rabbi Yehuda. We agree with the Mandi Omar that ad v'lo ad bechlal, not ad v'ad bechlal. Right? Very good. The Omar min ha-Torah asa, shneimar ad etzem hayom hazeh, ad yitzum shel yoyim, ukesova ad v'ad bechlal. Good. So that's your teretz. You're asking on Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan, and Zakkai. Like they said they're pshat according to one who says ad v'lo ad bechlal, and Rabbi Yochanan said it's in ad v'ad bechlal. Fred the Gemara umi sava lo kavasei. How can you say he holds like him? For miflag polig aleha. Look at the dialogue of the Mishnah. Guys, look back at our Mishnah. I want you to show it in the Mishnah itself. 3 lines down in the Mishnah on Amid Aleph. Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai sheyom hanaf kuli asa, the day of the waving tezayin is asa. Rabbi Yehuda v'lo min ha-Torah asa. Guys, Rabbi Yehuda is retorting to Rabbi Yochanan. Obviously, he disagrees with him. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Mash like this, guys. Here's the way you learned. Until this Gemara, here's the way you learned. Really, the day is muta, and he made a gezerah that the day is asa. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and say, what do you mean you're making a gezerah? The day is asa. So clearly he's disagreeing. Now you, Rav Nachman, are answering up. No, he holds the same. He holds like him. Look at the words. How can you say he holds like him? Clearly he retorts to him. He doesn't hold like him. He doesn't hold like him. So now the Gemara, go back to our Gemara. Our Gemara repeats that. Says the Gemara.
What would the point of the gezerah be according to this?
All right, let's see the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Hiskan Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sheyom enav kuli asa. Rabbi Yehuda v'lo min ha-Torah asa. D'chsev ad etzem hayom hazeh. So you see that he does argue. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda hu dekotoi. Rabbi Yehuda is making a mistake. He's making a mistake. What's the mistake? Hu sava Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai midrabanan kamar. V'lohi midaraisa kamar. So in other words, he thought really Rabbi Yochanan holds it's asa deraisa, and we'll see what and Mora's going to ask Rabbi Avi's question, right, guys? Rabbi Yochanan holds deraisa. Rabbi Yehuda says, "What are you talking about? It's deraisa." Rabbi Yehuda thought it's the Rabbanan because he made a gezerah, but really he holds it's deraisa. So Rabbi Yehuda made a mistake, but really he holds like him, and that's Rav Nachman's teretz. Why it's not a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish from, because they hold clearly that ad v'lo ad b'chal. Now. I v'ho hiskin katani Rabbi. This is your question. It's mashma he made a takana. Now if it's asa deraisa, what kind of takana is he making? But the takana says, "My hiskin darash he darshan ad etzan yom hazeh ad v'loy." Right? It means ad v'loy ad bechlal. That's his drasha. Ad etzan yom hazeh. Don't make a mistake up until. Say up until and including. He made that gezerah. He made that gezerah, but he holds it's deraisa. So therefore, Dorish v'hiskin, and after he made that drasha that it's deraisa, he made it takana that when the Beis Hamikdash is not around, that whole day, since it's asa deraisa, right? Again, last year you ate because you bought the oimer. Next year, right? Last year you're going to say one second. So Dorish, he made a takana that etzem yom darshan etzem yom zeh, and really it's the raisa. Really it's the raisa, and it's the raisa. He made a takana that the next year, since you have the oimer, you should wait for the oimer. How could you? What were you worried about? What are you worried about? What are you worried about according to this? I don't know. What are you worried about according to this?
Worried about chodesh.
Wow.
When they worried that they eat chodesh in the morning, that was the whole. Yeah,
that's it. That's what we're discussing, Heshi.
Yeah,
that's that.
No, but would they agree that in the morning? Would they both agree that in the morning, until they brought the omer, that they both agree that you would not be allowed to eat?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Maybe when the Beis Hamikdash was Kayam, they ate even though deraisa they had to wait the whole day. but
No,
the
when the Beis Hamikdash kind of didn't have to wait the whole day. I'd have the Achar Omer. That's something
no,
Yom
but
said.
that was no. But I'm saying the Omer knocked that off. It was only because the Omer knocked that off. But the next year, when the Omer wasn't there, they needed a Gzera because they would have thought maybe they would have thought that it was only half a day was okay. So they needed the Gzera to go back to the whole day. In other words, it's really us for a whole day, except because the Omer was brought. The
Right,
Omer
that's the pshat. That's the pshat. That's the pshat over here. That is the pshat. Last year we ate, right?
in
Last
the
year
middle of the day because of the
no, but they
Omer.
said last year we said last year they ate because there was no oimer. Now, what were they eating? According to you telling me that it's us the Raisa, what were they eating? His skin, what was his takana? What was he worried about? What was he worried about, Rabbi Yochanan? If you tell me it's us the Raisa, it means they didn't eat the previous year, right?
No, but the previous year when they did eat, but at midday
Where,
after
where does it say that? Where does it say that? It doesn't say that. If you're telling me that he holds that it's Asa Deraisa, right? You're telling me that he holds it's Asa Deraisa, right?
except when the Omer's brought. When the Omer's brought, that's matir in the middle of the day.
What's his gezerah? Last year, when did they? Again, you didn't have the Beis Hamikdash last year. You have the Beis Hamikdash this year, right? Good.
Yeah.
Now, if you're telling me last year they ate in the morning, what are you worried about now? That's what I'm asking you. What are you worried about now?
I think like Rav Avi is saying that it was always deraisa, but the korban matired it, so they forgot the practice of the deraisa.
Right. That's
In practice, they always had an
I don't
omer
think I
every
don't think
year.
that's I don't think that's what I don't think that's what he said.
Okay.
I think he mixed up that last year was that they brought the Omer and this year they didn't. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. He was geyser that what? He was geyser that the whole day is asa. So okay, listen. It's good. This is a fetch the teretz to answer up according to Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. You know, sometimes you need to fetch the teretz to avoid the kasha, but we have Rav and Shmuel. We have Rav and Shmuel saying that bisman bias that there's two times. There's the day, and there's the day itself, and there's bringing the yomer. There's the day itself, what, and the bringing of the yomer. The day itself is when there's no Beis Hamikdash, and the Omer where there's a Beis Hamikdash. Very Shlokish Rabbi Yochanan, it's the day itself. They hold the day itself. So in other words, say this. Okay, says the Gemara Vayta. A few people acting upon this. Rav Papa Rav Huna, Bereder of Yeshua. Now again, in Chutz La'aretz, guys, we have the second day of Yontif, a suffix. We have Sveika Diyuma, what we call Sveika Diyuma. Good? So now, Rav Papa Rav Huna, Bereder of Yeshua, Ochli Chadash, Be'urta de Shitzar, Nage Shiftzar. They ate it the night of the 16th going into the 17th. In other words, the night of the 16th going into the 17th. Leil 17th, they ate it at night. They ate it at night. I l'chayra, maybe it's the 16th, right? We don't know for sure. Ksava chodesh b'chutz la'aretz the Rabbanon. Chodesh and chutz la'aretz is only the Rabbanon. Well, the sveika and sveika the Yuma lechashinon, right? So therefore, since it's suffix the Rabbanon, they didn't wait the suffix the Yuma. They didn't wait the whole day, guys. The whole day, maybe it's the 16th, since it's sveika the Rabbanon. Okay. Rabbanon the Bei Rav Ashi achlu. And the Rabbanon in the house of Rav Ashi, they ate bitsafra de shipsa. They ate on the morning of the 17th. They didn't eat the night, they ate on the morning. Because they held, guys, that what? Like Rav and Shmuel, that the day matters it. So, what are you worried about? See, if the 16th had passed already, but now today's the 16th, al sveika de yuma, you could eat in the morning. Yes? Yeah, guys, they ate on the morning of the 17th, which could be the 16th. So that was their practice. Kasava chodesh b'chutz la'aretz deraisa, and it's deraisa. Therefore, right, they couldn't eat the night before. They kept the extra day, and they ate in the morning. Rabbanon Rabbi Yochanan Zaki mit Rabbanon Kamar, right? V'chitiken liyom hanaf l'sveika. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai mit Rabbanon Kamar. They held that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is the Rabbanon, not like the teretz that the Reb Nachman wanted to give. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said it's only us the Rabbanon. V'chitiken liyom hanaf l'sveika loy tiken. In other words, when Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said the takana, fellas, he said it when it was Vaday, the day. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai lived in Eretz Yisrael. So he lived right after the Churban, during the Churban. So he made it in Eretz Yisrael that day. But in Chutz La'aretz, where it's a suffix, the Rabbanon there he didn't make it. So therefore what? They ate it in the morning. Okay? The takana did not apply to the Chutz La'aretz. Amar Avina, Amar Li'aim, Avuchali Haviyachal Chodesh Ela Be'urta the Shifts Nagitim. He was the Chumrah. He went from the 17th Nagitim Neser to going into the 18th. Right? Because the Saba Lak Rabbi Yehuda, he's Chayish, right, guys? He was Chayish Rabbi Yehuda that the whole day. In addition, the Chayish Sveika, he's Chayish what for the suffix, so therefore he only ate it at night. He only ate it the night of the 18th. Because maybe the 18th is the 17th. Okay. As I listened this morning, and Yisraeli Bronstein brought in from a sefer called Daf al Daf. He brought in a very nice pshat, and I'll share it with you. There was a Maisa with Reb Moshe B'Tzalel Alta. He was the brother of the Imrei Emes. The Imrei Emes was the Gera Rebbe he was in Europe. They smuggled him into Eretz Yisrael, and he reestablished Gera in Eretz Yisrael. It's called the Imrei Emes. Moshe. Okay, so this brother of the Imrei Emes was walking with the Griz. He was walking with the Briskerov, and they were having the following conversation vis-a-vis this Gemara in Sukkah. Says the Gemara in Sukkah, fellas, the following. Barishaina, says the Mishnah, Barishaina, Hayalulav Naitel b'Migdash Shiva. It was taken all 7 days in the base of Migdash. Medina Yom Echad. Ulkachta Mechem b'Yom Rishain. Right? And the Medina was only 1 day. We all know this, right? 7 days in the base of Migdash, 1 day in the Medina. Mishachara Beis Hamikdash, Hiskin Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, Shei Lulav Nitel b'Medina. That the lulav was what? Should be taken in the Medina, Shiva, Zeichel Migdash. So that's what we do. 7 days, we go ahead and we shake the lulav, Zeichel Migdash. Usheyeh Yom Hanaf Kuliyasa, and the Mishnah in Sukkah throws in our Mishnah in Menachos that the whole day of the Omer is Kuliyasa. It's the Shver. What are you throwing this in, right? Says Taisus, guys, here's Taisus. Usheyeh Yom Hanaf Kuliyasa, Harbe Takonos Tikkun Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He made many takonos. Elahanich Tarti Tikkun Yachad. These ones he made together, the lulav and the mincha and the omer. Elahanich, right? Lahachi Tani Hacha. Therefore, that's the reason we learn Yom Hanaf Agav Grara. That's why we're bringing this in. Since they were made the same time, we brought in the second one Agav the first one. V'tema the Menachos Perik Rabbi Yishmael Daf Samiches Leitani Hanach the lulav Agav Hahudi Yom Hanaf. You look at our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah did not go ahead and include the other one. If they were metakin together, our Mishnah should have said Yom Hanaf, and it was metakin Zeichel and Migdash, right? That's the kasha. And Tosfos remains with the Tema. So this is what Rav Moshe B'Tzalel Alta told the Griz in the name of his brother, the Imrei Emes. Because in lulav, if you look at lulav, it would cause tremendous pain to Klal Yisrael, right? It would cause tremendous pain to Klal Yisrael. Here, what are you doing? You know what? Really, you should only do it 1 day, but 7 days as a Zeichel and Migdash, right? Now, once you're mentioning Zeichel and Migdash, you're telling me there's a destruction of the base of Migdash, right? Good. And therefore, okay. By us, they don't mention it. Yom Hanaf Kuliyasa is a Nichum, fellas. What's the Nichum? Last year, when the Beis Hamikdash wasn't here, we ate in the morning. So he made a takana. You know what's going to happen? Next year, Be'ez Hashem, they're going to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. And since they're going to rebuild Beis Hamikdash, right? So therefore, we got to take that into account. in lulav, where they brought in the zeichel and migdash, which caused people to be tzebrachin, you needed the comfort of Menachos. What's the comfort of Menachos? Metz Hashem, the Beis Hamikdash to be rebuilt. But in Menachos, we didn't bring in lulav. Since you didn't bring in lulav, the zeichel and migdash, memela, you don't need what? The comfort of. You don't. Therefore, you didn't mention lulav. Why should we mention lulav? I have the comfort already. It's very, very nice. And he said the Biskarov liked it very much. He said he liked it very much. I thought it was very nice shtickle. Okay, says the Mishnah. Ha'omer ha'yamatim b'Medina u'shtei lechem b'migdash. The omer they matin in the Medina and the shtei lechem in the migdash. You know what? I have to go somewhere. So Bez Hashem, we'll pick this up on Motzei Shabbos. It's a good place to start. Okay.